The movie begins in Kandahar, Afghanistan, where a soldier named Rax has come to help his brother. The two brothers are meeting each other after a long time, so both of them become very happy. Actually, Rax is an engineer, and that is why he has been sent to repair a jeep and a tank. While Rax was fixing the engine, his brother tells him that we should do something different, something that causes destruction. But Rax cannot understand what his brother means. Then his brother says that we should go to the Ranger Assessment Selection Program. But Rax refuses to go there because he has become too old. But then his brother reminds Rax of the day when both of them had sworn together to become Rangers. Actually, a Ranger is not an ordinary soldier. Rather, he has so much strength that one Ranger alone can take on 100 soldiers. Their training includes descending from huge rocks, holding breath underwater for hours, and pushing the body through unbearable pain. Only after crossing all these difficulties does a simple soldier become a Ranger. Then, after hearing his brother's words, Rax feels a surge of enthusiasm, so he agrees to go to the program. But just then, the Taliban suddenly attacks Rax's unit, and in the heavy bombardment, the entire unit is killed. When Rax opens his eyes, he sees dead bodies everywhere. Then, he stumbles toward his brother and sees that his brother is still breathing. But just then, Rax's dream breaks, because 2 full years have passed since that incident, and this dream keeps haunting Rax again and again. Now, talking about the present, Rax and hundreds of other soldiers were heading to the Ranger camp for selection. Actually, in that attack, Rax's brother had been killed, and Rax has been trying for the past 2 years to get selected at the Ranger camp just to fulfill his brother's unfinished dream. Now Rax had only one chance left, because if Rax was not selected this time, due to his age, he would never be able to apply again. Now, before Rax's eyes, there were only 2 images. The first was the final stage of the Ranger program, and the second was his brother's face. After arriving at the Ranger camp, all soldiers are given their numbers, because taking anyone's name here is not allowed. Rax is asked to become a team leader, but Rax clearly refuses to become a leader. He only had to focus on his goal. Then Rax's number is changed, and he's given number 81. After this, Major Sergeant tells all soldiers about their 8 weeks of training. These 8 weeks of training are the most difficult period of a soldier's life, because each day in this training will bring a new challenge. Whichever soldiers make it to the final stage of the training will have to complete one last and most dangerous mission, which is called the Death March. 24 hours are given to complete this mission. But what exactly is this mission? We will find out further ahead. Now, the training of all these soldiers begins. In the first week, tasks like coming out of mud, jumping from heights, and some easy missions are given. But as time passes, the challenges keep increasing. Number 81, that is Rax, comes first in every single test, because there is a burning desire in his eyes to complete the Death March. Then long-distance running, holding breath underwater and swimming across, and apart from that, wrestling. Rax stays ahead in everything. Then one day, when all the soldiers were eating, soldier number 15 asks number 44, what is the story of 81? Then in reply, 44 tells him that 81 was supporting a trapped unit. But in the Taliban attack, the entire unit was killed. But Rax did not lose courage. He carried his brother on his shoulders and walked the full 10 miles to reach near his camp. But unfortunately, he could not save him. Just then, number 60 remembers the face of 81, because Rax is not just an ordinary soldier, but a Silver Star medalist. Getting the Silver Star is every soldier's dream. While all these soldiers were talking, a news report about a large asteroid plays on the TV, which was rapidly moving toward Earth. Now a few more days of training pass, and Rax crosses every single challenge. Then, when Rax was giving the underwater breath-holding test, all of Rax's competitors come out of the water after a short while. But Rax does not come out. He recalls the moment when he was carrying his brother on his shoulders and walking toward the base camp. Then, lost in old memories, Rax's breath stops, after which, his fellow soldiers pull him out of the water. Then Sergeant Taurus and Adam call Rax to their office. Adam tells Rax that we cannot select you. We agree that you are a better machine that has no equal, but every machine has a limit. Adam tells Rax that you are not fighting physically, but mentally, and that is why you will have to give up your obsession with becoming a Ranger. Now, after hearing Adam's words, Rax tells him that I am going to prepare for the parade, meaning Rax will not give up this stubbornness. Actually, he wants to fulfill his own and his brother's dream no matter what. Now, after all the training is done, Rax and the remaining soldiers only had to complete the final stage, which is called the Death March. Of all the soldiers who had come to become Rangers, more than half had already gone back, and the remaining soldiers have to complete this mission. Then, Sergeant Taurus explains the mission to all soldiers. Actually, the scenario was something like this. A US Army aircraft had been shot down by enemies, and the soldiers had to go into enemy territory and blast that aircraft, so that none of their classified information would fall into enemy hands. And besides that, the aircraft's pilot also had to be rescued, who was being held captive in a nearby village. Now, this mission sounded as easy as it was not, because the soldiers are not given real bullets, and they have to complete this mission without bullets. Now the second in command of this mission is number 7, and the mission will be led by number 81, that is Rax. Then, all the soldiers leave for the mission. After descending from the helicopter, they all take the help of a compass to find the exact location of the aircraft. Then, after climbing the rock, Rax stops for a while, because it had gotten quite late at night, and all the soldiers were very tired. Just then, the enemies suddenly start firing into the air. This means they have gotten an idea that someone has entered their territory. Then Rax starts walking again. Then, by morning, they all come very close to the aircraft, after which, Rax divides the soldiers into 3 groups. Now the demo team was going to carefully blast the aircraft. And until then, the remaining soldiers would keep an eye on the enemies, because the sound of the explosion could prompt the enemies to attack at any moment. When the demo team was going to blast the aircraft, Rax senses something strange, something that the others could not see, but nature was pointing toward danger. Then Rax goes alone into the jungle to check, but by then, the demo team had already set the bomb on the aircraft. Just then, when Rax moves a little further ahead, he spots the aircraft that they were supposed to destroy. But seeing this aircraft, Rax is shocked, because the aircraft is in the middle of the jungle. This means that what the demo team was about to blast was something entirely different. Then Rax runs to the demo team, but by then, those people had already blasted the aircraft. But the surprising thing was that even after so many bombs exploding, that machine did not get even a scratch. Now numbers 44 and some others couldn't understand at all what this thing was. But just then, that machine stands up, scans the soldiers, and starts launching missiles at them. Several soldiers are killed in this attack, and the red light rotates and lands on number 44. Just then, seeing that machine, 44's hands and feet start shaking. But just then, Rax arrives there and saves 44. After this, all the soldiers run away from there to save their lives. But due to continuous firing, they all fall from the cliff, and number 60 falls straight into the river. Just then, Rax recalls that same time when dead bodies were scattered everywhere, and his brother was writhing in pain. Due to falling from the cliff, second in command number 7 and 55 are very badly injured, and a wooden plank goes straight into 51's chest, and 7's leg also gets wounded. Then 7 tells Rax that the radio was left up there. After which Rax goes back up to get the radio, but when Rax was going to pick up the radio, he sees that one soldier is still alive. But just then, the machine scans the soldier and blasts his body to pieces. Now that machine was walking toward Rax. After which, Rax immediately runs away from there. Now Rax goes down and tells the remaining soldiers that we need to get down from the hill right now. But by then, 57's breath had stopped, and 7 was not at all in a condition to walk. Then Rax makes arrangements to get 7 down the hill, and then all the soldiers start descending from the hill one by one. Number 96 tells Rax that you go down and hold 7, and until then I will hold the rope here. Rax agrees to 97's suggestion, but when 7 was descending, suddenly the compass starts spinning very fast. This means that the joint machine was somewhere nearby. Then the machine also scans 96, splits his body into 2 pieces, which causes 7 to fall straight to the ground. Now all the soldiers cling to the cliff, because during scanning, the machine will detect them, and they will all be killed. Then after a while, the joint machine starts scanning below the cliff. All the soldiers pull their faces and hands inside, but 7's leg gets scanned, after which Rax immediately takes 7 and runs from there. Now that machine starts firing intensely all around the cliff. The soldiers couldn't understand who had built this machine, because in the world only Russia can build such technology, but it does not have the money to build such technology. And the Chinese always copy others, and America has not yet invented such technology. Then walking along, Rax and the remaining soldiers come quite far away. Now Rax starts bandaging 7's wound. But when he looks at the morphine bottles to reduce the pain, he finds out that all the bottles are broken. Now some soldiers were thinking that maybe this could also be a test. But just then Rax tells them that this is not a test, because the aircraft was lying somewhere else, and we put the bombs on the wrong thing. And secondly, our sergeants would never take such a dangerous test in which soldiers lose their lives. Then after bandaging 7's foot, they all start moving toward the village. The village was on the other side of the river, after which Rax tells everyone that I will cross the river and go to the other side, and I will tie a rope there. This job was very difficult, because the current of the river was very fast, but still Rax wraps a shroud around his head and jumps into the river. Then number 44 also runs with a rope toward the flow of the river, but by then, Rax had already drowned in the water while swimming. Now, all soldiers lose hope of 81's survival, because surviving in this river was very difficult for anyone. But just then, Rax comes out of the water, and everyone's hope of surviving comes alive once again, because seeing Rax alive brought relief to everyone. Then Rax and 44 tie the rope on both banks of the river, after which, number 15 starts moving forward with 7. 7 was tied to 15's body, but just then, his hook gets stuck in a knot, due to which, number 15 cannot move forward at all. Now number 15 goes back and tries to put the hook on the other side of the knot, But just then, one rope of 7's cover breaks, and he is left hanging in midair. Then both 81 and 44 hang on the rope to help them. But during this time, 44 gets a strange feeling. Just then, that machine comes and stands right behind 107. Now that machine starts scanning the soldiers and launching missiles at them, due to which, all the soldiers jump into the river itself to save their lives. Now it was impossible to escape from this joint machine, because this machine neither blasts nor gets damaged by water. Then, when Rax was drifting ahead, the rope tied to his foot gets stuck on a rock, and Rax's hands start shaking because that machine was moving toward him. At this moment, Rax was very tired, and his breath was also running out. But there is no machine in the world that can break Rax's obsession. Rax somehow manages to cut the rope on his foot and moves forward from there. Then, he grabs number 7 tightly and saves him from falling down the waterfall. Then all the remaining soldiers go down from the waterfall, and the good thing was that number 7 was still safe because Rax had been holding him. But just then, they find one more of their companions down below, number 60. Then 60 takes Rax and all the remaining soldiers to one side. Just then, number 44 asks 60, "Did we get any contact from our base camp?" Then in reply, 60 tells them that there was no contact, but I had seen Taurus's office operation plan. According to the plan, some fireworks and traps had been set up for the soldiers, but there was no mention of any machine in them. Then they all move forward once again. Walking along, they reach the base camp, which had been completely burned to ashes. Actually, Rax and his team had been told that Sergeant instructors would help them at the base, but when they reach there, they see that massive destruction has occurred there too, and the sergeants were also missing. Everyone thinks that maybe the sergeant had fled, but just then, 44, seeing the other martyred soldiers, says that the sergeant did not flee, but this is the work of that same machine. Now Rax could see a connection in all these things. Then he asks 44, "How much distance have we climbed?" Then in reply, 44 says 6,500 feet and 8 kilometers west. Now Rax understands everything. Actually, this machine is that same asteroid that was being shown in the news. The massive asteroid that was about to hit Earth broke into many pieces just a few miles before reaching Earth, and one of its pieces hit the mountain and fell straight into the river, where the soldiers had awakened it. In reality, this joint machine had come from another planet, and no one knows how to destroy it. Just then, after a while, the soldiers find the sergeant's body, who had been killed very brutally, and all of this was the work of that same machine. Then Rax tells everyone that we must keep moving forward. But 15 gets angry hearing Rax's words and says that we are human beings. We are not machines like you, and we are not silver medalists like you either, so we have less strength than you. We need a little rest. But Rax's patience breaks. Then he goes to 15 and tells him that I was given that medal for my failure. Actually, after the attack, when Rax was carrying his brother on his shoulders and walking toward the base, Rax fell unconscious just about 100 yards away from the base. At that time, his brother's breath was still going, but because of not reaching the base on time, his brother was killed. Then Rax tells 15 that I did not do any act of bravery, and I am not deserving of that medal either. Now, after hearing Rax's words, all the soldiers understand his feelings, and that is why they all decide to move forward together with 7 alongside Rax. Just then, they find a broken tank at the base, after which, all the soldiers start the tank, and 44 begins to drive it. But just then, all the soldiers realize that the machine is once again approaching them. At this moment, there was not a single bullet in the tank, after which, 15 becomes a hero and goes back into the base and brings back the bullets. When he was taking the bullets toward the tank, the machine spots him, after which it starts firing intensely at 15 and the tank. Now before dying, 15 delivers those bullets to the tank, after which 44 quickly drives the tank away. Now this tank was no less than a machine itself. It was also very powerful. Just like the machine continuously fires at the tank, due to which some parts of the tank start burning, but when firing doesn't work, the machine starts throwing explosive shells, after which, the machine goes out of control and comes after the soldiers. Now due to continuous attacks, several soldiers are killed inside the tank. Just then, Rax takes a missile gun and fires at that machine, but even then, the machine does not get even a scratch. Then Rax uses his brain and fires at the mountain, after which large rocks fall on top of that machine and it gets buried under those rocks. Now Rax thinks that maybe they have won this battle, and that is why he calls out to 44. But as soon as he turns back, he sees that 44 is lying dead there. Just then, the tank goes out of control and overturns, and all the soldiers in Rax's team are killed. Just then, after a while, when Rax opens his eyes, he sees dead bodies scattered everywhere. Once again, the same scene starts appearing before him. Just like when after the Taliban attack, his entire unit had been killed. But the good thing was that number 7 is still alive. Then Rax goes near those rocks and checks whether the machine was destroyed or not. But the surprising thing was that only a small part of the machine was buried under the rocks. The rest of the machine was still perfectly intact. Then Rax sees that the machine is sending a signal into the sky, as if it is communicating with someone. Then Rax starts dragging number 7 and taking him away from there. Rax was trying to carry 7 up the hill, but due to rain and slippery conditions, his feet keep slipping every time, and he comes back down the hill. Now Rax's courage starts to fail. Now he cannot even understand whether he will make it out of here alive or not. But just then, 7 opens his eyes and boosts Rax's morale. Then 7 tells Rax that I had met your brother during training a long time ago. He also had a similar tattoo on his hand just like you. And when I recognized you, I realized that a soldier like you has never been born before and will never be born again. Then Rax asks 7 that how do we defeat this machine? Then in reply, 7 asks him that if your brother were here, what would he do? Now Rax's mind lights up, and then he starts thinking like his mischievous brother. Just then, Rax recalls that this machine releases smoke from its head after every scan or explosion, and this must be happening because of it overheating. Now he understands that so much pressure has to be put on it that the machine overheats, and this is the only way to destroy it. Then Rax seats 7 against a tree for support and says, "You wait for me. I will definitely come back to get you." Then Rax goes to the army base, where lots of weapons and ammunition were kept. Then Rax fires a flare gun into the air to signal the machine, and the machine, seeing the aerial shot, starts moving toward the base, and then begins the real bloody game of our steel-strong Rax. Actually, Rax had already placed some bombs on the slope beforehand, after which, as soon as the joint machine arrives there, all the bombs explode. Then Rax sits in a heavy-duty JCB and starts pushing the machine rapidly, pressing it against the mountain. But the machine also uses all its energy to push the JCB to the other side. But Rax also does not give up. Now both powerful machines were pushing each other, due to which that alien machine overheats and starts releasing hot air rapidly from the top of its head. Then Rax presses the crusher button, due to which a lot of crusher from the machine above starts going into the brain of that machine, and it overheats even more, due to which a blast occurs inside it. But the story was not over yet, because even after dying, that machine did not want to leave any evidence of itself. So a lot of explosive shells come out from inside it, seeing which Rax understands that the situation has become dangerous. Then he quickly saves his life and comes out of that place. And just like that, a very powerful explosion occurs there. Now finally, Rax had succeeded in his mission, after which he takes 7 and comes back to the ranger camp. But in their absence, those machines had caused massive destruction here as well. Just then, when Sergeant Adam and Taurus see Rax, they become very happy with his bravery, because this time Rax did not give up, and he reached the base camp with the injured soldier. Then they give Rax the ranger badge, and finally Rax becomes a ranger. But this trouble was still not over, because that asteroid coming from another world had fallen in every corner of the Earth, and now those machines were causing destruction in every corner of the Earth. Now these rangers had to destroy hundreds of such machines. Then the sergeant asks Rax, "How did you destroy that machine alone? You will have to tell us this. Only then will we be able to destroy those machines, because so far, in the effort to destroy those machines, more than half of America's soldiers have been killed." Then Rax tells them that when that machine gets hot, it starts releasing hot air from the top of its head. That is its only weakness. We have to strike exactly there and destroy the program that cools its system. Only then will we be able to destroy those machines. Then Adam tells Rax that if your brother were alive today, he would have been proud of you. Then Rax boosts the morale of all the rangers, because without courage and spirit, winning this war is impossible. Just then, in the last scene, we see Rax and the remaining soldiers boarding Black Hawk helicopters and setting off to save their country. Just then, when the major was calling out the names of all soldiers before landing, they see that 81 is sleeping. Then the major shouts and asks, "What is the name of 81? And with this, the movie comes to an end. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this movie, and if you like this story, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel.